I don't know what it is about walking, but something happened this last year. I just enjoy walking. They tried to ruin my Saturday by playing their little song, their little music out there with the bass up, But I just turned the fan on loud and put some earplugs in, let them have their time. Hopefully it's just a birthday party and they won't do it every weekend because I have to go talk to them, It's awful strange. I can walk over here, different locations in this neighborhood, and it's always quiet, But across the street from me, there's always noise, either Jerry Springer or something. The flesh always persecutes the spirit. Let me give you some patterns in life. These are overarching patterns. As they come to my mind, I'll talk about them. That nobody can change. The flesh versus the spirit, the book of Galatians, right? The flesh always persecutes the spirit. Law and grace. Cain and Abel. Walk by faith or walk by sight. There's two kinds of people in the world. Some people are more worried about outward show, and some are worried about the inward renewal. The outward show versus the inner renewal. These patterns are playing out all the time, everywhere, 24/7, 7 days a week, night and day. I start talking about this, the AC comes on, the sirens over there. This is important. These overarching patterns will help you see through the matrix. It's ridiculous. I don't know what's over there, roosters or something. I don't know what that is. Chickens, I don't know what it is. I'm waiting for the noise to calm down to start talking again. I don't even like to compete with noise anymore. Truth versus lies. Emotions versus steady state versus sine wave emotions. Steady state truth versus sine wave horizontal motions. Now look, I got a muffler. Look, can you hear it? This is not a coincidence. I'm talking about overarching patterns that will change your life as they come to mind. Sirens, roosters, AC cutting on, a machine, a nail gun, a muffler. When you step into your power, your healing power, and your mind is steady state into the overarching archetypes of reality, which makes you stable and secure. Okay, here's a pattern. So let's look at that house right there. It's pretty cool setup, right? It's a pretty cool setup right there, right? They got their little thing they can pull their car under. But guess what? It's a fractal. Now look at these people. They got their ceiling fans running on the outside in their little deck area. Nobody's sitting out there. It's pretty cool looking though, ain't it? That's pretty cool looking set up. It's a fractal. Everything's, that over there looks pretty cool. This looks pretty cool. This setup right here looks pretty cool. They got this nice house. These people built this garage. I actually drew a picture of this back in February or March or sometime. February, I think. I drew a picture of this and it appeared on the scene a month later. So all these little setups are individually nice. So the fractal would be, people set their little space up the way they like it and they're content. It's different, but it's the same. Because the common pattern is they set it up the way they want. They like it how they like it how they like it, you know. Everybody makes their space comfortable for them. And the person who's staying here might not like the way their space is over there. And vice versa. What is my point? Even though those cars are different, all four of these cars look different, but they're still the same because they're just transportation devices. They're decorated a little different, but they're still the same. They have 4 tires and a motor and a steering wheel and some passenger seats. It's the same, but it's different. So when you look at another person, you're looking at a different person, but you're actually looking at the same because they have a head and a body, have 2 arms and 2 legs and all that good stuff. Now I've only been walking around the block for 8 minutes and I've got dogs barking, I've got sirens, I've got nail guns, I've got roosters. I got mufflers. I got music, I got bass, and I got treble. I got birds, I got horns, hear them? And you wonder why everybody's under stress, because there's all this noise. Wouldn't it be amazing that if the people who gang stalked you are right beside you? And they can't touch you. Wouldn't it be amazing the people who gang stalked you can't even touch you? Even though they might be living right down the street from you or across the street or family or co-worker or ex-girlfriend or something. The ones who stalked you can't touch you, even though they might be right beside you in some way, shape, or form. Ain't that something? Ain't that crazy? Now talking about noise. Guess what I'm coming up on now? Coming up on a horn. Somebody playing a horn. This is almost like watching the Jessica Jones series where she walks down the alleyway and there's all these different things going on. Some families arguing, some people are doing this, and everybody's doing different things, you know. I don't even know who that was. Somebody waving. I couldn't tell who it was. I have no idea who that is. All I saw was a hand waving. They still hadn't cleaned that tree out of the driveway. I don't know who that was waving, but they were waving their hand like crazy. The pattern holds. The pattern holds. If you're going to walk in the Spirit and take up your cross, there's going to be people around you who are walking in the flesh and just living in pride. They don't even know what taking up your cross means. Their idea of taking up their cross is open a beer, a Budweiser, and getting drunk. Their idea of walking in the Spirit is get drunk in the Spirit in a beer. Getting drunk in the Spirit. Paul says, be not drunk with wine, but be renewed in the Spirit. Be filled with the Spirit. And so everybody's getting spirits poured into their body so they can feel like they're high, but they're actually low. That's how the system is upside down. What you think makes you high in the flesh is actually bringing you down low. But when you take up your cross, deny yourself, and follow Jesus, that's when you're really high. And you don't need a drug, you don't need a beer, you don't need anything because you're walking in the Spirit. And because they've never experienced it, they think you're crazy, and that's why they have to persecute you. Let's go drink and let's go to the bar. I don't think so. I gave that up 30 years ago, or 40 years ago, 35 years ago. What are you trying to do? Take away my heart? Had a coworker say something, you need to blah, blah, blah. She was pretty much saying, cut loose and do something. What are you trying to do? Take away my heart? You need to go, let's go out to the bar and, what are you trying to do? Give me a hard heart? She said, what do you mean? I said, whoredom wine and new wine take away the heart. She never said it again. I said, I've been working with y'all 11 years. You don't even know who I am yet? You haven't paid attention? Because people don't see you for who you are in the Spirit. They see you from their flesh mind. If you're a Spirit born again creature, they don't know you. They can't know you because they haven't entered into the 5D experience. When you take up your cross and you mind your own business, they come after you because you're not a part of the hive mind. So here's an overarching pattern. There's this thing called the hive mind, and it's the 666 cube AI flesh mind program. They're not even real people. They're running on programs. Their mama's program, the music program, the TV program. They're not free. They think they have new thoughts, but they have no new thought. The only new thought is revelation from Jesus. And you become a portal down here to speak the truth out as a body ship. The starboard side is where you receive the message in your heart, mind. And the portal side is the port where you speak it out. So your body's a temple, set apart. And their whole purpose is to defile the temple, just like the Gentiles wanted to defile the camp of Israel. And God said, come out from among them and be ye separate. So an overarching pattern is the will of the Gentiles, the will of the flesh, and the will of mankind, men or women. They're trying to take you out of the will of God. Let me say it again. This is an overarching pattern in families, in churches, in jobs, online. Jezebel, Delilah. They want to take you out of the will of God and drop you down into the will of the flesh, the will of the Gentiles, or the will of mankind, which is pride. They hate your humility. They hate your soft heart. They hate your kindness. They hate your innocence. Even though we were born in sin, God renews our mind and our spirit and our heart, and we become like little kids again, because you can love your enemy, love your neighbors, because you know they don't even know what they're doing. Lord, forgive them. They don't even know what they're doing. And when they throw you under the bus and betray you and lie to you and try to set you up, steal, kill, and destroy, try to groom you and manipulate you, use and abuse, you're looking at them like, I see you. I know what you're doing. Wake up. Just wake up. Wake up. You're in dream state. You're delusional. You're in Delulu land. This tree has more peace than you. So here's another overarching pattern. See this tree? This tree is going to outlive you. This tree right here has probably lived longer than you. And if not, it will. Unless this place shuts down, this tree will outlive you. Now, how is it going to have more longevity than you? Tree, true, faithful faith. Now, in the spirit realm, you're going to outlive this tree forever, because this is all going to be burned up. But look at that tree. It just stands there. Steady state. Stable. Able. ST. ST's what? The snake on the pole. What is the snake? The snake eating itself is the sin nature. It's the 3D realm. You eat and drink of the natural, which is the snake eating itself. But if you eat and drink of the spiritual, you're eating of that eternal life. So when the snake's eating itself, it's going to die. But when the snake, the old Adamic nature, starts to eat that eternal life, it becomes a new creature. And you take and here's the pole right here. You pierce the snake to the pole. Look at that. F-U-C-K. Somebody wrote on that. Why would they write that? Why wouldn't they write Jesus instead of that? F is man's number. That's all they're thinking about. Fulfilling that earthly, fleshly, temporal nature. Thinking they're going to get high, rise higher. But it becomes more addictive. More guilt, more shame. More drinking to cover their guilt and their shame. Their lies, their delusions, they become more narcissistic because they can't look in the mirror. They have to project all their sin and all their rebellion and all their stuff onto somebody else because they can't admit they're a sinner. And they have to cheat on their spouse because it's their sin nature. They're never satisfied in the natural, but they don't even know why they destroy themselves. They self-sabotage. Why? Because they're in the natural. They don't understand the spiritual. The spirit is eternal. The spirit is peace. The flesh is misery. The flesh is temporal, time. The flesh is the AI program. The flesh is the self. The self doesn't really exist because everything's in Jesus. And if they're separated from Jesus, they don't even exist. They're just running on programs that the devil's taught them in the music and the media and the news and the radio and the songs and all that. The YouTube videos, they'll send you a link of a YouTube video. Well, why don't you just say it in your own words? Because you don't know. You're an extension of the system. So really, a narcissistic Jezebel is an extension of the system. They're going to act, birds of a feather flock together, right? So they're going to act like the world, the flesh, pro-life. They're going to steal, kill, and destroy. They think it's a sport to get over on somebody. I know what I'm talking about because I was raised around them. They get a kick out of getting over on somebody. They really do, and they go their whole life thinking that way. So let's say that person needs some siding done on their house, or that person. And I'll go over there and give them a price, and the siding's going to cost me $1,000. The material's $1,000. I charge them $5,000, and you could do it for $3,000, and they just get a kick out of that. I worked at this AC company one time. And we went out there, the AC wasn't working. They opened it up, and I said, it's the capacitor, you know. Looks like the capacitor just blown. $5 capacitor back then. He went in there and he sold him a $5,000 system when it was a $5 capacitor. He got over on him. And I talked to the boss afterwards. I said, why did you do that? We're here to make money. I said, I don't want to work for this company anymore. You people are thieves. These are an old couple, and you hoodooed them out of $5,000 when it was only $5 capacitor. I don't want to work with y'all anymore. Y'all make me want to throw up. But you know what? They might not pay for it in this life, but they will pay for it in the afterlife. Just like when the women take their car to get it worked on and they hoodoo the woman, you know, because she don't know. When it might have been some $3 piece of equipment to fix it, you know. She didn't know. And a lot of times these Jezebels, they want to be independent and do their own thing and not submit to a man, and they end up getting hoodooed in their later years because you either need a plumber or electrician or a mechanic or somebody, and the husband could be telling you, hey, don't do that. I know it's a hard life. And I don't blame people for trying to survive down here, but you're going to have to answer for what you do. And when you're in survival mode, is it your own fault? Did you choose to be independent and you had an opportunity to submit? You had an opportunity to submit to God's given you authority in your life, but you choose to be rebellious and do your own thing. One of the reasons I've always wanted to keep a job, because if you keep a job, you have a boss. Whether it's a good boss or bad, it don't matter. God speaks through authority, and it holds you accountable. And even if you don't feel like going to work, you get up and go anyway. So having an authority figure is good for you. Actually, authority will save your life many times. I had no idea there was so many houses that had green siding or green paint around here. I've seen about 5 or 6 today. I'm in shock. I had no idea that was a thing. I just didn't pay attention to it before. But the storyline has to play out. Just like there's a green sign here, right? Because there's a green sign right here, there has to be a red sign right here. Because it's Cain and Abel. The Cain and Abel story is an overarching pattern that has to play out. Look at that. There's green. I know the grass is green, but what's the chances of them leaving some kind of green? That building's painted completely red, right? And they got these green, whatever they are, sitting out in the yard to contrast the red, right? Cain and Abel. And if you look at any plant long enough, unless they trim so these green leaves will start to turn a yellowish color, then a red color, reddish brown. Because here it is, right here. See? It always happens because Cain and Abel, there's the gospel being preached right there. The blood, Cain's got to go through the cross, which is yellow, to get under the blood. The truth is always being preached everywhere, all the time. There's a red stop sign and a green sign. Cain and Abel. Now, as soon as I walk around the block, they cut the music off. As soon as I get done with my message, they cut the music off, and you don't hear the roosters, you don't hear the nail guns, you don't hear the sirens. You did hear them. There is a muffler right there. Because they're not bothering you. You're getting it done anyway, so the demonic realm is always persecuting the spirit. And so when they realize they can't bother you, they have to regroup and come up with some other way to try to bother you. I promise you this is real. The Truman Show is a spiritual matrix. And the only way you're going to see it is cut off the noise and meditate for like 10 years. But I promise you, the more you meditate on it, the more you'll see it. It's the real truth.